Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for coming in. So today we're going to proceed from where we left off last class, which I think was about here. This might be a little bit off because I've been doing two classes at once. So is this approximately where we left off last class? Okay, cool. Based on our assignment, we've finished. Not finished, we still have to add notes and a few other details, but we'll worry about that in the later classes. First, we're just going to worry about drawing. So we finished drawing basically the underground portion, from the footing to the top course of concrete block. So then we're on to the next page here. Oops, right there. So we've drawn to this block right here, and we even drew the interior wall with the drywall. So what we need to do is we need to make this a crosshatch because that block is filled with concrete. These are just diagonal hatch because they're regular concrete blocks. And then we're going to start to deal with the structure, the wood framing structure that we discussed today in class. Putting in the sill plate, some joists, rim joists, framing the wall above, doing some floor sheathing and exterior sheathing. And then we'll start to add the brick and other stuff on top of that. So that'll be our objective. We're going to try to get, I think if we could get to here, to the second floor assembly by today, we'd be in good shape. That leaves us the last wall and the roof for next class, and then one more class after that for all the details. So if you guys could open your drawings to get to this page. Sorry, to this drawing. Everybody there already? Perfect. I see a couple of people still opening AutoCAD, so I'll wait for let's say 3 more minutes, and I'll check again, see where everyone is, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay, I think everyone should be about finished loading at this point. So let's get going. We need to, so we're at this top block. The first thing we need to do is change this hatch into a cross hatch. So, I hatched all of these together. So I need to trim this top hatch. I don't know if you guys have the same issue as I do here, but I'm just going to type in trim, enter. I'm just going to click the diagonal line in the top block, and it should knock it out. If you don't have that problem, that's perfect. We can just get going. So I'm going to click the hatch button, and now I'm going to go down here and select ANS 137, so the cross hatch, and click on that block. And it should give me what I want. Maybe, I think the one in the example is a little bit tighter. Yeah, so if you want, up to you. We can make it, let's say 25, something like that, and hit enter. Okay, that was a minor thing. So now I'm going to zoom in on this drawing in here. There's a lot going on, especially at these intersections where the floor meets the wall. In this case, there's extra stuff going on because it's a wood floor meeting a concrete block. So I'll try to make sense out of this jumble here. Down here, there's a little piece of wood. It's a 2x4. It should probably be something bigger, so we'll see what the note says, but it looks like a 2x4. And it's lying flat on the concrete block because that's our slope. So that's what we discussed. I got questions? So let's just, before we draw that piece of wood, I'm going to zoom out and see what the note about it says here. 38 by 89 wood sill plate fastened to foundation. So it is a 2x4. Okay. So we're going to draw it the way it is for now. We might change that later on. And now the next thing, before we figure out, we know how big it is, but now we need to know where the heck it is. So if we look here, it's telling us from the edge of the concrete block, we go in about 125 millimeters, and that's where the 2x4 is. So, and we have enough info to draw it now. So I'm going to go back to AutoCAD here. I'm going to switch to, let's go to let's stay on a wall exterior. So architectural wall exterior. And I'm just going to draw a rectangle first. I'm not going to worry about where it's placed. Actually, maybe I'll place it right at the corner here. So click here, and I'm going to type at 89, 38. And I'll open Notebook so I can, or Notepad, so I can show you guys what I'm typing. Okay, so 89 by 38. Once I have that, I'm going to grab the line and draw an X through it. That's how you show that it's a piece of wood being cut through. And then I'm going to take the move button and select all of those pieces and aim to the right and type 1, 2, 5, enter. So that's what we want to end up with.
talked about earlier in my so like the top is part of the brick. Like here, yeah. Start it, and then we go in 89 comma.
Yeah, I would, so first I would say move it, I would use the actual move button. So the go parts. The balls like you're gonna line up at the top. Now move it again. So that repeats the movement. Move to the right and take 1 too far. Yeah, nice.
Where's the X? Just take a line tool and make the X.
Okay, good job.
And you're gonna select a block. Just like, just highlight the whole thing. From right here.
Okay, hopefully we have our block in place. And at this point, I mean, we're getting further, sorry, question? Okay, so we're getting further into the design, or into the drawing. And people are gonna move at their own pace, and that's okay. So some people will be slightly ahead, behind, or whatever. You can always refer to the video on the website. So under YouTube videos, video tutorials, part 1 is already up. So to learn how to get from the starting to where we started, you can follow that. And then once this class is done, this video will be uploaded. So even if you miss something, just try to keep going, and then you can always go back in the video and see the parts you missed and do it. It'll just let us move faster as a class. So we have the sill plate in, and so now the way I would build this is I would start doing the wood structure first. It just makes, I think it'll make more sense if we conceptualize it this way, then start to draw like every line. If you start to worry about every single line, you'll start getting lost in it, and it'll stop making sense, right? You'll be like trying to draw this bit of insulation. You'll see these little small lines. How far should they be spaced apart? You know, what's the distance between all these lines? And it starts to get confusing. You sort of stick to the structure first, and then start adding stuff to it in a logical way. I find it's easier to make sense out of it. So we have this little block in here. Based on the slide, we know we have to put a J bolt in here. So there's going to be a metal bolt that gets set into the concrete in the block, and it pops through. We're going to draw that later on. Let's keep going with the wood structure. So we have a joist that sits on top of this sill plate that starts here and ends here. So it's a big piece of wood that goes across. That's the floor joist. Here it's telling us it's 38 by 235 millimeters at 300 on center. So we need to offset a line. We're going to draw a line from here and offset it 235 millimeters up. That's going to give us that floor joist. And then we have the rim joist on the side, which is going to be 38 by 235 millimeters like this, and it's going to have an X to it. That's the rim joists that kind of frame all of the floor, if you remember from the slides. So I'm going to do a rectangle starting here, and we're gonna go 38 by 235, and it didn't work for some reason. Oh, I'm typing, okay, I'm typing on the other keyboard. Okay, at 38 by 235, so like that. I'm gonna draw an X into it. And then we also have the joists extending from that. So I'm just gonna make it go as far out as our floor below it goes. And copy that line. So just to connect it back to what we're talking about in the classroom, we have our concrete block wall here. We have that sill plate, that's the 2x4 lying flat. We're gonna draw an anchor bolt. Then we just drew our ring joist. It's taller than it is in this picture, but we drew that. And then those two lines coming out of it are the joists for the floor. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense so you can understand what we're drawing right here. Okay, was everyone able to get that part? Nice. Excellent. Okay. Okay, excellent. So back to our really messy example drawing. But we're making sense out of it. So we have the sill plate, we have the rim joist, we have the joist. Now we need to put some plywood on top of our floor. So usually that's 5/8 inch. We're gonna see what they suggest. Floor finish, 15, no, that's not. Let's see here. I'm gonna have to zoom out to see what the note is. Continuous header, floor finish on 15 millimeter tongue and groove plywood subfloor. Okay, good. You guys know what tongue and groove plywood is? Just so you know what it is, it's very often used for flooring, and so it looks like that at the edges. So one side one length edge of the plywood will have a tongue, then it will have a groove. And what you do is you'll nail this one down, and then you take the one with the tongue, the groove in it, and you shove it underneath that. Sometimes you can hammer it maybe from the side so it sticks under there, and then you nail the next piece down. And what that does is it forces the plywood to align perfectly from one piece of plywood to the other, because otherwise, if you don't have it, it can still work, but you need more experience. If you put the nail too close to the edge, that side of the plywood will pucker up a little bit. It's gonna get, pinned really hard here, and that wood's gonna kind of not like it, and it's gonna pucker up a little bit. And then when you wanna do some kind of flooring on top of it, whether it's a wood flooring or tile or whatever, it's a little bit uneven. You're gonna get, it's gonna be imperfectly, the floor above it will imperfectly adhere to it. And it'll look good for a week or two, and then it'll start to wear and tear more in that area and break down. So if it's tiles, then you have the plywood puckering up, they're gonna start to crack in that area. If it's if it's a nice hardwood floor you have on top of it, you might feel a little bump there or something. It creates issues. So they do tongue and groove plywood, sometimes they can put glue on it, and then it gives you a very nice finish, all at the same level, ready for whatever you want next on top of it. Anyway, that's a minor detail. So back to our drawing. So it says 15 millimeters, which I think, yeah, it's about 5/8 inches. 1 inch is approximately 25 millimeters. So if you do the math, 15 to 16, 15 is usually 5/8 inch. Okay, so we're gonna grab our offset button here. We're gonna type 15, hit enter, grab this line and offset it. And now in the drawing, while you're doing that, I'm just gonna show you something on the drawing. That plywood extends all the way to the edge of our rim joist. So this creates a continuous floor right to the edge. So I'm going to go back to my drawing and stretch it so it goes all the way. Oh, I have a mistake here. It's not perfectly aligned. So I'm going to move it and make sure it is. There we go. And this one, so if I highlight a line, it gives me these blue grips, usually one on each end and one in the middle. And so I can just grab that grip and move it around. And if I line it up with the edge of what I have, it'll usually let me project where I want it to be. So I've done that. Now I'm going to make another line to finish it off. There we go. So hopefully, is this still making sense, the way we're putting this together? I find for myself it makes it easier to understand what the heck is going on in this drawing, because there's a lot of lines in here. So, we've got that, we've got our joist, we've got our floor. We're not going to worry about this piece of insulation just yet. That's to prevent the thermal bridge, something we talked about before, from warm air getting to here and then condensing with cold air. We'll worry about that later. What we're going to do now is put this 2x6 down. That's the next wall. So we're going to put the base of the 2x6. One thing I should tell you. So when you're framing in houses, if you're doing interior partitions, so walls on the inside of the house, like a bedroom frame, let me start a different way. If you're doing the exterior walls, so the outside walls of the house, those have to be framed in 2x6s. So it's a bigger piece of wood, 140 millimeters across, it's a 2x6. Everything on the inside, so all the walls that are not exterior, can be framed in 2x4. It's assumed that they're not structural, so all the exterior walls are 2x6. This is relatively recent, I'd say the last decade or so. If you work on houses before that, maybe it's in 2 decades, but if you work on houses before that, you'll still, let's say you're doing a renovation on a house that's 50 years old, you may find the outside walls are 2x4s. So just to let you know, it's not always like that, but for new construction, 2x6 on the outside walls. So 38 by 140, 2x6 across the bottom, and then we're going to extend 2 lines up. That's going to be the vertical studs. And we can put a piece of drywall on it as well. It's probably going to be, maybe it'll tell us somewhere, but 90 face break. So we're gonna say it's half inch drywall, done. So we're gonna say 12.5 millimeters, no, 13 millimeter drywall. Okay? And that'll get us basically up to the height that we need to. This wall, once we draw it, extends all the way up to the next floor. So we can actually start putting those, we'll talk about it in a second, when we put those two 2x6s on top. And now we're at the second floor in terms of the structure. Okay, so let's get back to here. So I'm gonna draw another wood member here, so it's gonna be 140. 140 by 38. Sorry, I should write it the way we're gonna type it, like that. So click here at 140, 38. Now I'm going to grab a line, put an X through it, like so. Now while you're drawing that, I'm just going to check something out here. I want to see how tall this wall is supposed to be. Because see, they did a break to save space. But for now, we're going to draw it the real height. So what we're going to do is, here it gives us the floor to almost the ceiling, so plus 16. So this dimension here is the one we're interested in. It starts at the subfloor from the plywood, 2440, to the bottom of the drywall. But we want it to go to the top of the drywall because that's where the structure of the wall ends. So it's plus 16. So 2456.
Yep. Did you add the thickness of the drywall? Not drywall, the flooring.
The floor,
2440 plus 16, and then the width of the.
So I was going to offset from the top line. We did the 5/8 inch. So that little tick right here intersects with the top of the plywood floor.
We're going up to here, right?
No, for now I was going to go up to there, yeah.
Okay.
For this, it's a good question though. If you wanted to go up to the next, this is called, sorry, it's an excellent question. I'll talk about it a little bit. The most common way to measure heights from floor to floor is literally what I just said, so floor to floor. And the floor to floor height is measured from the plywood or the subfloor to the subfloor. And that dimension they actually do give us. So you actually rate it, you're asking a very good question. That's this dimension here, 2707. But right now, for the purpose of drawing, that would be complicated to explain all in one shot. Once, if this was a second year studio, we would go floor to floor and just build the assembly. So you're one step ahead in asking that. But for the purpose of this, we want to get to the top of this double plate at the top of the wall. So we're going to offset the plywood by 2456, which is 2440 plus 16. So back to here, we're going to click offset, and we're going to go 2456, enter, and click here. And if you don't zoom out, it may seem like nothing happened. So I just clicked there, and I'm going to hit escape. It may seem like nothing happened, but that's just because it's off of the screen. So that's how high we want to go. And now I'm just going to draw a line there and offset that by 140 this way.
Did you offset like the top of the floor or the bottom?
Top of the floor. So from top of the floor, 2,456, so 2456 to get to the top. The set?
Yeah.
38 by 140, so it's 140 wide. Now we have at the top of that floor, we've got two, can I switch? Okay. We've got two 2x6s. So like when you're framing your house, at the top of every wall, you put a double plate, right? So we have those two 2x6s. Now I'm not gonna draw those again because we already drew it once here. So I'm gonna save myself a bit of hassle. Your time is valuable, you've got better stuff to do than, be clicking on AutoCAD for 15 hours a day. So we can cut it down. These little tricks where you copy something twice instead of drawing it again, they add up. So if you get really good at that kind of stuff, you'll be able to, literally do 4 times as much work, 10 times as much work in the same amount of time as you can now. So I'm going to go back to here, hit copy, select this,
And then comma.
and I'm going to go all the way up. 1, 2. Done. And while I'm up here, maybe I'll shorten this line so that I can offset that by 16 because that's our drywall. So, sorry, I know I'm going to freak some people out because I'm moving too fast, but I'll slow down right now. So, now we have our drywall as well. Okay? And I'll go back to the AutoCAD drawing in a second, but basically what we've done now is we've assembled the structure of the floor. We've assembled the structure of this wall right up to the top. And now we're ready to actually do the floor assembly of the next floor, which is a little bit complicated because it actually is an overhang. So it pops out, but we're in good shape. We're going to knock that out really quickly and then basically copy the width of the floor above it. And we have all of the structure done that we need to do today. Then we're just going to add filler and other details to the side of it. So just to recap where we are. From the top of the plywood, we went up 2, 4, 5, 6 to get to the very top. We copied the 2x6 we had here, put 2 of them on top of each other up there. Right there. Then we connected it with lines to show the stud. And then I offset it by 16 in each case to show the drywall. This little one? Yeah. 16. What's the other one? Also 16. Yes. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna keep continuing. I know some people are still working on this last step. What I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna press forward for about another half hour. I know some people might get left behind, but what that lets me do then, if we keep drawing at this pace for about a half hour, we'll get everything drawn we need for today, maybe 40 minutes. And then I can wrap it up there, upload the video, and then I can help people individually that may still be a little bit behind. From past experience, it goes faster that way than trying to keep everyone on the same page, because it just, people get frustrated if it goes too slow. Yep.
How do you select things in a way that you see the adjusting dots? Whenever I select something, it's like move.
Oh, so I would just hit escape a couple of times to make sure you're not in any command, and then just click it once.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah? Okay, nice. So, okay, we've made it all the way up to the top here. Good job, everyone. So now we need to build another floor. and we have to bump out a little bit. So how much do we need to bump out? Here it tells us, this dimension says from the edge of this wall to the edge of the wall above, it's 125 millimeters. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna offset the line we have here, 125 out, and I'm just gonna stretch it a little bit up there. So that'll give me at least one side will be kind of bracketed. I'll have one less question as I keep going. So offset, 125. And now it doesn't matter how far, for now I'm just gonna stretch it way up, okay? I'm going to go back to the drawing. And now this line, the drywall line, above it is my joist. So I'm going to extend that line to meet the line that I just stretched up. And once I have that, I have this corner and we'll be able to finish. The rest of it will kind of click into place. I think you'll be surprised at how easy it is. So what I want to do is I want to extend this line to that line, but instead of there's two ways you can do it. I can kind of go and stretch it and mess around with it, and then I can stretch the, make the other one shorter. But I'm going to introduce you to a slightly more advanced command that does it for you. So up here, if you hover up here, there's a kind of a curve, and if you hover over it, it's going to say fillet. Okay, so we're going to do a fillet. It takes a little bit getting used to, but it's going to save you a lot of time. So we're going to click it, and as always, we're going to read what it says at the bottom. And what I want is for this line to join with this line at 90 degrees. I don't want any curve or radius, although I can set a radius if I want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here and click radius. And it's going to say, okay, what do you want the radius to be? I'm going to say 0 degrees. I don't want there to be, I know it's counterintuitive, you might think 90 degrees. I want it to be 0 radius. And now I'm going to do it the right way, and then I'll undo it and show you the wrong way. So now I click on the sides of the lines I want to keep. I know that doesn't make any sense, but let me show you the right way. So I click on this line, and I click on this line. See, that's the side that I want to keep. I don't click on the side I don't want to keep, because it's going to cut it the wrong way, right? So I want to keep the top part, so I click on that. Now, what I've done is I found this corner right here. So I have the corner of our rim joist for the floor above. And what we could do is we could draw another rim joist and draw another joist and draw another plywood floor, but we've already done that. So here we're going to start, drawing, we're going to start deploying some smarts while we're drawing. And what I'm going to do instead is go down here, click copy, and I'm going to pick this line, I'm going to pick my plywood, I'm going to pick my rim joist, and I'm going to pick it by the bottom corner. Actually, I could be even smarter. Hold on, I'm going to cancel that. We can copy the whole floor assembly, but we have another 2x6 wall right on top of it. So we should copy that here too. So I'm going to grab this 2x6 at the bottom, and I'm going to grab the drywall as well. And we're going to get a 2-for-1 deal. We drew one floor, and we're just going to copy it right up top. So I'm going to say copy this, 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 and all of this. Enter. I'm going to pick the bottom left corner here, and I'm going to go all the way up and pop it in there. And now what I've done is I've basically finished the structure on this whole page. Well, so have you guys. So we finished. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to zoom out here, and I'm going to zoom out here. floor assembly from the basement. We drew the entire wall going up to the second floor. We drew the second floor, we copied it, but we drew it. And we have the wall going from the second floor all the way to the roof, but we're gonna worry about the roof next class. Yep.
Did you copy the sections?
Which parts? I'll undo it and I'll copy.
I think I copied it. You're gonna paste it.
Okay, I'll
Paste
read.
it on the second.
Yes, kind of. Let me undo it.
No,
So we found that corner, right?
yep.
So I'm gonna hit copy, and what I want is my rim joist to fall into that corner. So I'm gonna grab all of this, and this point right here, the bottom left of the rim joist,
Yep.
I want it to land at the very intersection of that corner, right there. And so the other benefit we've given ourselves in drawing it this way is now we have all of the structure in place, and the rest of it is just kind of layering materials on top of it. So we can start, well, we can start with the back insulation. Actually, you guys already know how to do the back insulation, right? So I'm going to leave that, and we're going to focus on the other stuff instead. We're going to do the rigid insulation on the outside. We're going to do the 25 millimeter airspace and the 90 millimeters of brick. So I'll show you how to draw that. Then we'll draw this bit of block. We'll draw the cladding on the second floor as well. It's different. And then we'll draw this bit of blocking in between it. That's pretty much it. We have a little bit of a detail to draw with this anchor bolt, some flooring details which are minor, and we're done. So, okay, maybe people will be wondering about the bad insulation, so we can throw that in if you guys want. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna draw a line in the middle of my walls. And I'm gonna hit the match properties button and match this to that. I guess I have to make it a little bit bigger, so I'm gonna go to properties and I will make it, let's say instead of 4.5, I'll make it a 6, maybe a 6.5. There we go. Done. I can copy that to here. I'm going to shrink it a little. That did not work. I'll just draw a separate line here. And I'm going to eyeball this because in the drawing this is not exact either. This bit of insulation. They're just showing you should put a lot of insulation there. So I'm just going to go here and I'm going to make it, let's say 10. That looks pretty weird. So let's go 8. All right, whatever. So what I'd like to do next, I'm just going to show you guys, we're going to basically offset a couple of layers here to create our brick wall, to create the outside layers of the wall. One thing I am going to change here is it doesn't seem like they have any plywood on this wall. I think that's a mistake. I don't know why they don't have that. So we're gonna add, I think we're gonna go ahead and add it. Yeah, we're gonna add it. So we're gonna add in. Yes, we are. Okay, so we're gonna add 13 millimeters of plywood. Then we're gonna put 25 millimeters of rigid insulation, 25 millimeter airspace, and 90 millimeters for the block. I know that sounds like a lot, but we'll do it together right now. So, offset 13 for the plywood. Okay, and that plywood will go down. Yeah, it's going to go down right to here. Okay, then we're going to offset 25 millimeters for the insulation. And we need to do that hatch. So the insulation has this type of sawtooth hatch. So it has like a small line and another small line, and they're kind of staggered as it goes up. It's tough to create that with the hatching, but we're gonna try. We also have to offset it 25 going this way, because there's insulation along the bottom of that as well, and along the top. So fill it. Okay. So I'm going to do a hatch. I'm going to pick this one, the ANS 133. And if you don't do this class, okay, you know what, the hatching is going to be kind of difficult. I'm going to show it to you guys once. You don't have to follow me in it. And when we wrap up in a few minutes, call me over if you're having issues with it, and we'll do it individually. The problem with hatching in AutoCAD is if AutoCAD doesn't see the whole area that you want to hatch, so if you just zoomed in on part of it, it assumes that the ends of it are open, and then it gives you an error message. So you have to kind of zoom in, zoom out to see the whole piece you want to hatch, and unfortunately then you gotta like be a sniper and put exactly in that area to define it. So there, I got it, and now I need to muck around with it a little bit, so I need to rotate it. Angle, we'll make it 45 degrees. Nope, sorry, we'll make it negative 45 degrees. And the scale, we'll make it smaller, let's say 3, too much, 5, something like that, maybe even more, maybe 10. Sure, 10. Okay, now I'm going to offset 25 millimeters again to get that airspace before the bricks start. And then what I can offset 90 millimeters again to get me the bricks. But it's going to be easier to draw the bricks individually, I think. So we're going to draw them the same way as we drew the concrete blocks, one at a time. So I'm gonna, I guess I've probably lost most people by now, right? Okay. Sorry? You good? Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna draw the bricks we'll line that wall with bricks. And then we'll call it a day there, and I'll go around and help people individually, okay? Okay. So for the brick, I'm gonna click, and we're gonna go at -90, comma 66. I think that's the right distance for a brick. So I went okay, and then I'm going to copy it 76 up, so I have a 10 millimeter space.
How much was the brick again?
Sorry?
The brick size.
It's 90 by 66. And so what I'm gonna do, I have that vertical line there, but it's not really helping me, so I'm gonna delete that line. Or you know what, no, I can keep it, never mind. And I'm gonna take the arc button and just draw a little, it's up to you how you wanna draw it. You can draw it as a straight line, or you can draw it as an arc. Like that, because you know bricks have that, like they have mortar between the bricks, and they take a tool and they scrape it so it has a little bit of a groove there. So between bricks you have a groove. And once you have this, you can do the same thing we did for the concrete blocks, where you kind of leapfrog them. The one thing is there's a lot more bricks than there were blocks, so you may want to copy, you know, once you get 5 or 6 in a row, cancel the copy command and start copying them as a group. Now we have a little bit of an issue at the top there, but as you can see in the drawing, they delete the last 2 or 3 bricks and they have a different detail up top. So I'm going to delete the last 2 bricks, like so. And that's it. And then the last thing I'll do is I'll hatch those bricks. So I'll get the diagonal hatch. Okay, let's just see what that looks like. I'm going to hit enter. Oh, it's still the old hatch. Okay, so I'm going to have to switch it to the diagonal one. Angle, we're going to set at 0. That actually looks okay. I'm just going to switch the layer now to be the pattern. Didn't work. Let's try that again. So I think we're going to leave it here for today. I'm going to still help everyone. I know I left a bunch of people behind. But basically what we've done, we built most of the structure up until the roof. And now we've clad this part of the wall. We still have some work to do, so we've got to do a little bit of cladding out here. We have to do some floor detailing around here, put in the bolt. But the reason I'm going to leave that for this class is I think if I can get everyone on the same page in terms of what we got, you will learn the skills you need. Like for instance, if you can draw this wall, you'll be able to draw that wall much easier. If you can draw all of the stuff we've drawn in here, you'll be able to figure out how to draw the floor, you'll be able to figure out how to draw that J-bolt and so on. So I trust as we're moving, you're picking up skills that help you fill in the little blanks that you leave behind, okay? Okay, I'm gonna save this. If you wanna keep going further ahead, you can. I'm here to help you, no matter what you wanna do. And I'm just gonna kinda circle around and help people get caught up to where we are. Yeah.
I have no idea. Yeah. Oh, it's a file that's posted on the actual, this is supposed to be able to get the file up. It's supposed to be on the file. It should be a DWG.
Like this outside one?
We check this, yeah. All set, check it. No, just the, DWG slide. Find it. I think it's lecture one, then it's metric.
What's the recording? What's the recording? What we thought.
Should then download that, and then I'll get the folder that you know. Oh, that was first man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no problem.